Bonjour, bonjour les petits loups! Bienvenue au podcast We Are Entrepreneurs, le podcast qui vous permet de découvrir les jeunes entrepreneurs québécois, mieux comprendre leur mentalité, leur attitude, leurs problématiques. On est disponible sur YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher. Merci de partager et nous aider à amener notre vision en réalité de supporter 1 million de jeunes entrepreneurs d'ici 10 ans. La grosse vision. Aujourd'hui, on accueille Joël Balsam, un grand ami que j'ai rencontré à Medellin, un freelancer journaliste qui a travaillé pour Vice Québec, Asman, Montreal Gazette. C'est à cause de lui en plus que j'ai reçu un fameux feature dans la Montreal Gazette. Donc tout le monde, tous mes amis m'ont dit « Hey, je t'ai vu dans la Montreal Gazette. » Salut Joël, comment ça va?
Oui, très bien. Et toi?
Ça va très bien, c'est vrai. On va faire ça en français, anglais.
Franglais. Ouais,
en franglais. Joël vient de Ottawa, mais habite depuis longtemps à Montréal.
Ouais.
Et là, maintenant, depuis au moins 3-4 ans, vit la vie de digital nomad, la fameuse lifestyle populaire qu'on entend partout.
Ouais.
En français, on dit les... comment ils disent ça en français?
Nomades digitaux.
Non, les nomades numériques. Les nomades numériques.
C'est
ça. Well, I'm going to let you present yourself quickly. Elevator speech, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. Ready, set, go. Hey, my name's Joel. I'm a freelance journalist. I went to school at Concordia University in Montreal. And now I'm living and traveling and working. I have a main contract with AskMan.com, where I'm the news editor and the Facebook manager. And I'm just committed to continuing to live in different places. I'm going back to Brazil soon to live for 6 months, and maybe Africa. And yeah, so I've lived in Colombia, lived in Spain. I've traveled to 42 countries so far. And yeah, traveling and being a journalist is my thing.
That's amazing. Like we're gonna talk in depth about this lifestyle, but let's start with your work as a freelance journalist. So, like, if you could explain us, like how do you run after contracts? Like, what type of subject you're focusing on, and what's your interest when you create a piece?
Right. So, usually I start with a question, an idea. Like when I went to Colombia, I noticed that the mobile internet, like on your phone, was pretty cheap. Like Canadian prices are really expensive. And I noticed in Colombia it's pretty cheap and it was pretty good, but the Wi-Fi was pretty shit. So I thought, maybe is there a chance that mobile internet will be the future and Wi-Fi will be, the past. So I went and I talked to a contact I have at Vice. I got sent to Motherboard, which is the tech version of Vice. And then I made some, she said gave me the okay to do it. You could do it. I could do the story and then pitch it, but then you run the risk of kind of wasting your time. So usually if it's a good story, you can find a home for it, hopefully. And yeah, that was just an example of a story. So just, send the editor an email when you can. That's the best way. And just say, hey, I have this idea. I think it's, pretty cool, whatever. And then you make sure you know how much they're going to pay you, and that's it.
But you have those contacts since you've been in the industry for a while, right?
It kind of branches off, right? Like I was an intern at Vice for 4 months in Montreal, but I kept the contact with the news editor. Then I'm really good friends with a guy who has his own show on Viceland called Cyber War. So he sends me sometimes the people to contact, but really, like, if you just kind of go to the news editor or the editor of the specific thing you're trying to go for, just send them an email and just get a feeler. Everyone needs content, right? So.
All right. So where do you see this field of journalists going in the next 5 years? Like we were talking just before, we were saying like, oh, everyone's going to this freelancing lifestyle.
Great question. I mean, one of my favorite things, is to follow the media. I'm listening to a ton of podcasts about the media, reading about the media. So I think more kinds of content, right? Like we were all worried years ago. Everyone's worried, oh, the journalism is dying. Journalism's not going to die. But it's going to be more difficult to get good stuff. There's always going to be more stuff for free. There's a lot of free shit out there. There's blogs and all that. Where's it going? I think more multimedia content. So like an article that also comes with audio, that they'll read it back to you. There'll also be podcasts like with different things. I think there'll be, video, just like really a multimedia thing. And I've known since I started journalism that I have to do all of it. So I did broadcast journalism and radio. So I was the news director at the radio station. So I like radio and I like writing. And I've done some videos, so I think mixing different things is where it's going.
Yeah, I started seeing this on the web. I think it's pretty cool actually. Like to have like a full article, and then you have like a YouTube audio or like a audio like just embedded on the article.
Yeah, I've seen some tiny things like you go in instead of just reading the quote, you can click on it and hear the guy say the quote, for example, really making it like jump out at you rather than just being a flat page. I don't know. That could be a cool idea.
That's good. And how do you see, again, like all this going with, for example, the voice search of Google? Like, for example, right now, 30% of the web consumers are asking like the Siri and Google Assistant, like, for web research instead of typing,
Yeah, I'm skeptical of that idea. I mean, I see that they're putting a lot of money in it, but I feel like I'm from a generation that didn't like to use our words. Like we don't like to call on the phone. We'd rather text and stuff. I think it's odd to try and bring voice back into things. And I've always had like, I don't use Siri. I don't know about you. I just don't have a very good trust of it. So I feel like because it's usually pretty crappy. So I don't know if they can make it so people really trust it, but I don't know if that's going to be the big thing. Just like I don't know if like VR, for example, like we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I don't use it myself, but like when I see my friends in the States using it, they always get it right. It's like for me it's impossible because of my accent, but for them it's like boom, they can ask anything and then the answer they get from it is like just amazing. I'm like,
that's cool, but that's it's kind of a bad example. If they could only get American accents, like the whole world is made up of more than American.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. And the fact that like as a journalist, they haven't figured out something really that can transcribe an interview, which wastes so much time, right? You do the interview, you have to write it all out. How come they haven't figured that out? I mean, I get it's tough, but it's tough because there's so many intonations in the human voice and different things like that. So if they can figure it out, have you heard also about like audio editing, how Adobe is creating that thing where they can, you should check it out. There's a good podcast on Radio Lab, one of the recent ones about that. It's called Breaking News, I think. And essentially they're able to take something you said and then you can type it in and input what you want the person to say. So like, it could be like, I like dogs, but change it to I like cats. Obviously, that would be pretty problematic considering like what if Donald Trump said something and then they edited it and it went, became real fake news. So definitely some questions to that. They're calling like the Photoshop, but for audio.
That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. All right. For your professional life, you worked in the past like in the normal like kind of like 9 to 5 media office, right? No, not really.
Yeah, one time I worked at a small community newspaper for about a year in Wakefield, Quebec, which is outside of Ottawa, and it was a really good experience. But I wouldn't say like we went out. I mean, I was kind of at the desk, but we went out and interviewed people and taking photos. I've never been a 9 to 5 person.
So you've always been like with this kind of like remote lifestyle, like more of a traveler before, right?
Yeah, I mean,
how do you become a digital nomad? Does it come like that? Because like you used to be like a traveler, backpacker, and then now that you need to make some money, you're like, and then you want to pursue like a professional life. You're like.
Here's the story of my life. So I finished, I'll make it quick. I finished university and I wanted to travel. I've always wanted to do journalism to be able to be paid to travel, essentially. And after it was the news editor at the radio station. I went down to South America and I was like, I want to get experience. So I volunteered at a magazine in Bolivia, in La Paz. And that was cool. I got, to be in a different place and also to live there. And then I had a contact to cover a story about the end of the world celebration for Vice. Or I pitched it to Vice and they accepted it. It was like this really weird story about, them celebrating the end of the world. And then I practiced my blog and I practiced my writing, and I just kind of proved there and then that, just by creating content, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to have a brick and mortar place,
Yeah.
So I did that. I went to Spain to teach English, and on the weekends I was writing. I went to India and Burma and stuff, and I was still writing on weekends. So it didn't really matter where I am as long as I have internet.
So you started writing about your travel experience a bit, right?
Yeah. I started kind of creating my own blog. That was like the beginning. I
stumbled on it when I researched about you.
I know. That was the beginning and ending of me creating my own brand. I haven't touched it. I don't know. I feel like, it was
funny,
cool
right?
experience, but I also don't think that people really care about what you've done in the past. Maybe, in terms of when I'm pitching a story, it's just about pitching the story. Like, if the story's good and I know what I'm doing, I don't think they're going to Google me or to that extreme extent. Or I think we play up too much when we're younger and in school about our resume builder and stuff, which is obviously a good thing to get those experience. But no one ever asked me for my resume, and no one really asked me for the stuff I've written in it before. So I don't know. I don't know about this whole brand thing.
It's like that in Canada, but in different country like France, it's not like that yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It changed everything, like the school you went to, and then the grade you had, and then your reference.
It definitely depends on the field. I'm just in journalism where I didn't need to do a master's because it's just about going out and doing it, getting the experience. Some people do it a master's, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like I'm learning all the time.
All right, let's talk about Medellin, because we met there, and then you proposed me this piece, and then you were interviewing me. Now it's my turn.
Yeah, it's true.
That's funny, man. That was my first interview you did, actually. It was a good experience.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, tell us why entrepreneurs of Quebec or freelancers like you should go on a retreat of a month in Medellin.
Yeah, a month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't know, but whatever.
Minimum 1 month.
Medellin is it solves a lot of the comforts of home thing. You can drink the water, you can have a nice metro, you can go out for a nice ramen meal, but you can also
that's true
be really cheap and have really amazingly huge lunches for $5 Canadian. And you can meet really nice and welcoming people, and there's every different neighborhood is such a different thing. So I think Medellin is a great, even though in the past they said it was dangerous, which it probably was. It was in the past, but it isn't now, and it's definitely a good place for people to get started because it has all the comforts, but it's also a really nice place.
Yeah, there's a big boom about the place right now. Everyone's talking about it. For example, like me, I have a longtime friend. I was working 9 to 5 for a big merging and acquisition firm in Toronto, and then his girlfriend dropped him after 5 years, and then just decided to drop his job, and then he took a one-way ticket to Medellin. But this guy, like he's not a digital man or anything. And that's the first thing he thought of was Medellin, just like that. And
wow, that's rare. I mean, I think a lot of people think of Europe, people think of the US, but I mean, if you're thinking of going to another place, and you probably, I mean, I'm looking for a cheaper place. I don't know about other people, but when people talk about, oh, how do you afford to travel? Just stop going to really expensive places.
That's true. Yeah. So you think that's the main reason, right?
Yeah, I love South America. I'd been there. I've been to Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and Brazil before when I was 21, 5 years ago. So I love South America. I've done Europe. I've done Asia now, and I'm going to go back to South America. So I heard good things about Colombia, and it was great.
Yeah. Okay. For me, it's the fact that it's cheap, and then the weather, and then it's the Latino vibe. I love the Latino vibe where people are more down to earth, and they think it's more family first instead of success and professional life.
100% agree. and they're down to have fun, and they're
Yeah,
you know,
and then
they
you
wanna
smile in the
dance in the
street,
street.
people they smile at you, you know.
Yeah, when they dance on the street, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
you know, they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
such a very welcoming. You know, I love South America, and now I can speak Spanish pretty well. That kind of opens the door.
Oh, that's good,
For
man.
me, the Latin vibe is, I prefer it to what I've seen in Asia in terms of
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
welcomingness of the culture. But I mean, to each their own.
I came back from Medellin 3 months ago now, and I've been in Montreal, and then like two weeks ago or something like that. I was like, I was missing all that so much, and then I was like, okay, that's it, I'm going back, and I'm going back in
Yeah.
2 weeks.
You're just missing all the ladies with their implants.
No, don't say that. No, but seriously, the ladies are like, okay, it's something else for sure. But it's everything combined, you know. It's the fact that okay, I'm gonna buy a flight there just one way. It's gonna cost me $300, $400, but there, it's gonna cost me like half of the rent I pay here, you know, and the food, same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay $7, $8 for like a full meal, tree service that is like organic food that it's gonna fool me like
Yeah, tons of
of
vegetarian
energy.
restaurants.
Yes. Oh
Really
yeah.
good quality stuff for sure.
Yeah.
It's a perfect
Amazing.
place. But
Amazing.
you know, I'm always moving forward, trying to find a new place. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go to Rio next for sure. I've always had this place in my heart for Rio.
Yeah.
You know, who knows after that.
Yeah. I would love to join. I would love to join.
See you there, Carnival 2018.
Yeah, Carnival. I actually met a girl yesterday. o- okay. So how do you deal with like family, friendship, girlfriends, living this way? You know.
I mean, my mom's always like, "Oh, can you stay a little longer?" and things like that, and that's that. But you know, I talk to my parents, you know, on Skype and Facebook. I think these days, you know, probably already talking to them on Skype and Facebook, anyways, even if you're here. So there's that. It is a thing about, you know, you have to have short-term friends, like friendships, I guess. But honestly, I still keep in touch with people I meet from all over the world. You know, like I met you, I'm sure I'll keep in touch with you through Facebook. And
But it's not the same, you know.
is it? I mean, I met my friend in Mississippi, and we talk all the time, and we're going to meet up again soon. So I mean, I think the quality, the really people you have really good connections with, the really, you know, the people you really connect with, you'll try and make it happen, and try and meet them in their country. And that's a really cool thing too. They can, you know, you have different couches to stay on in different parts of Europe. And as for the girlfriend thing, it's a tough thing. I met a girl in Colombia, for example, and I wanted to make it work, but she just, you know, it's very rare to find someone that has the means and the ability to move all these countries. And for me, I'd rather keep this lifestyle going. So I had to say goodbye. But just kind of got to be clear about it.
Same for me. I've been trying to search for someone that could live this lifestyle, but like so hard. And this kind of like community of digital nomad or location independent entrepreneurs is like 80+% like males, you know.
Totally. I hope it grows. I think it's also 80% Americans and 80% like, yeah, not. I mean, hopefully you can find someone, and hopefully it grows. I think with all communities, as it gets bigger, it's growing. I recommend staying on these Facebook groups. You know, there's even one called Nomad Soulmates, you know, which is trying to connect digital nomads. I don't know if you'll find anyone there.
I heard about that. It's like the Tinder of nomads.
The Tinder, that's what they're trying to do. I mean, it's cool that one thing I like about the nomad community is that, especially in Medellin, right, there was all these events, and people are really willing to meet people. So you can have the digital nomad community, and then also either locals come to the events, or you can meet locals any other way. So I don't know. I'm happy with this lifestyle. Maybe there will come a time when I want to, you know, be with someone more long term. But I think it would be ideal if they traveled with me.
But why it's so easy right now to live like this, and it's so cheap, right? So
Yeah.
why and everyone wants to do this. I think I personally feel like we're all explorers, and it's just like once you start, you just get addicted to it. But like people, they don't jump. Why like not like 80% of millennials, they live this lifestyle, you know?
I get that way. I think that there are people that can't do it. They already have responsibilities. There are like, and then I think when you talk to people, you've talked to the same people that say, "Oh, I want to travel and do that. How do you do it? How do you afford it?" The fact is,
Yeah.
it is affordable, right? You go to cheaper places, I use credit card points to get free flights pretty much. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but I think if they deep down, they don't really want to travel, or they're too afraid or something. And I don't think it is everyone who wants to do this. Some people, like their routine, like to create these really like quality friendships, which are not as possible as a digital nomad. I mean, I enjoy, as I said, I keep in touch with people, but it is a problem to create the relationships when you're moving all the time. So I think there's, a lot of people, not everyone wants to travel.
Are you able to create connections and deep conversation with people that don't live this kind of lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. More so away from here. It's just hard. It's just hard in the West. I think, when you're going out to a place in Medellin or whatever, to the bar, either you meet a local and they're fascinated with what you're doing, and you're fascinated with them because they're a different culture. Here, everyone's like too busy with their own friends. They're too they don't want to reach out and meet new people. Whereas you can either meet locals or you can meet these digital nomad communities abroad, and that's what I found to be more my scene is to, I just want to meet people and having deep conversations. You have deeper conversations when you're, traveling with someone, hiking a day that you met in a hostel or whatever, than you do trying to make a conversation in a bar here or whatever. I think for me, at least, I like being abroad more.
Yeah, man. High five, bro. Man. High five.
Yeah, I came to that realization, like kind of coming back here to Montreal, and I love Montreal. It's a good...
same for me, man. I had this
like,
oh my
I
God.
like to meet people, and it's just harder here.
Yeah. But I came to realize that, so I'm from here. I came to realize that I love Montreal and everything, my hometown, but like I don't feel at home anymore. Because when I'm here, I'm in this comfort zone of like, I'm not gonna go by myself into a bar, because it's kind of awkward what I'm gonna say, I'm from here, I go by myself to a bar, so I don't do that.
It's not part of the culture here. I think it's in other cultures. Maybe someone was saying that, like maybe in the UK, like guys go to pubs by themselves and it's okay, but it's not part of the culture here. I agree. Yeah, it's weird. And I've done it before, but
and also same like just walking the street and just like saying hi, like smiling and talking to people randomly. It's
not a friendly place like that, unfortunately. Montreal, I don't think people are as friendly as, even in America. They're like, I went to Venice Beach and everyone's like, hey man, how you doing? And like, I was a little bit surprised. I don't think it's quite as friendly. And I mean, I love it here and people are really nice, but not like the street hellos. It doesn't happen the same way.
All right. So how do we motivate everyone to live like that? First of all, like what's a decent budget to start with? And where should we start?
All good questions. I'll just make the disclaimer that I don't think it's for everyone necessarily, because I don't want to, because it's like to be able to be like, oh, I'm gonna go and not work, not have a for sure job locked down. Like that's kind of a privileged position to be. I initially made my money just by working in a restaurant though. So like you really could just like do a restaurant job, for example, but obviously people have responsibilities. Anyways, how we get people to do it? There's like, go to cheaper places. Don't go to like, France or the UK or Australia unless you for sure can get a job there, I guess. If you can teach English, for example, like I could do that, teach French, could do that maybe. There's many ways to get out there. And in terms of a budget, I was in Southeast Asia. I was like doing all the tours, eating everything, traveling around for about 1,000 Canadian a month. And that's what I was making with my job, just on the weekends, just writing a couple articles on the weekend for this job. And I was, I'd created that contact over a long time, and now it's turned into my real like full job, but it's not that much money.
Yeah, I think it's just about like jumping from the cliff, It's just you take a one-way ticket, you go to Chiang Mai, those places so cheap. It's like you can get a room in like a very nice neighborhood for like $200 Canadian a month, and then you eat for like $3-4. I met a Brazilian guy. He was doing this. He went there, one-way ticket, find a cheap flight, and then was eating like $3-4 every day, living cheap. By the time he was building his online business, for like 3-4 months, he had no income, nothing, only like a little bit of saving. That's it. He was like, I'm gonna stay here until I figure out how to make money online. That's it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I have a friend
And
who
then
just started it. He just went out to Southeast Asia. He just started at the co-working space in Bali, and he'd been doing it in BC, and just take the plunge. I agree. I think a lot of people are want a helping hand, so there are like groups to help you, I guess, these but I think they're like, it's just a waste of money. Like, you could do it on your own. Why would you spend thousands of dollars when you could be spending hundreds of dollars to do this stuff? So I definitely I agree. Just take the plunge, do it yourself. There's resources online, there's friendly people everywhere.
There's more and more retreats, services offered to this community.
I know, and I like the idea because it sounds cool, because like it's all made up for you, and then meet other digital nomads. But just then I'm like, it's just a bad investment in terms of what that money could go so much further in that place.
But I came to realize that it's a good start for people that never like really backpack, like the big company remote here.
But how do you learn eventually? How did we learn? We backpacked. I mean, that's what they have to start at doing.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah.
I mean, remote year, Rome, Nomad House. I was gonna start one, but I didn't have my heart into it yet. After a couple months, so I stopped doing it. But
you start a retreat.
Yeah, it would have been cool. It's cool to bring people and to share in the thing and try to convince people, but the price is just so expensive. I was like, I would not have paid for that.
Yeah, that's the thing, for sure. When you start a company,
and I think maybe if there's so many of them, maybe they're starting to get cheaper. I did see one in Nicaragua, for example. I forget what it was called, but it had a cheap option. Like, it had an 8-bedroom dorm thing. Like, a lot of people wouldn't do that, which kind of like, I know, but it was only $375 American, which again, you could probably do way cheaper in Nicaragua if you went on your own. But they help you out, and you can just do a month at a time if you wanted. So I don't know, that could be a way to get started, for example. I've thought about it.
Most of the retreat, though, they charge $2,000 a month.
That's it.
Yeah, for co-working.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, $375 is a pretty good deal considering. But when they're charging $2,000 in Bali or whatever, and Bali is cheap as hell. It's a ripoff.
I came to realize was like 3 times the price.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? Another way to make things nicer: go on Airbnb. Right? Airbnb is secured. You could do that. I went in Colombia. I went through Airbnb, and then I just went up to the guy and I said, "Let's go outside of Airbnb, and I'll give you money." And boom, no problem. Other digital, like, travelers living in the same place. Like, there's so many options and so many ways to do it. But I guess if you want to take baby steps, at least you're getting out the door.
I think the best advice we can give right now is just like search a destination you want to, and then write down on Facebook, search a group like Medellin Digital Nomad, and ask questions there, and people they just
And maybe there's a way for them to do it, something to build up their own career. Like when I first started in Bolivia, I wanted some type of reason to go, I guess, and I volunteered at this magazine. I had to pay like $1,000 a month or something, but I got to stay, and they kind of like taught me some stuff. It was just this 1 month, so I guess I did one of those things to organize things as well, in a way. But it was pretty loose. It was like not really very well organized, but it was a great experience, and I definitely recommend it. So, and that I was able to add that to my resume and feel more confident in journalism, and then using them, I ended up getting my first Vice story. So it was definitely valuable. Really? Maybe there's a way, if someone has a passion for, graphic design or something, maybe there's a way they can build up their career at the same time.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah. Did you heard about roofing?
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about that stuff. I would like to do that kind of stuff. I mean, I met a lot of people doing it.
You did it?
I did not do it, but I know a lot of people that do it, and I think it's a really cool idea. As long as you're not getting ripped off. Like, some of them are not, good deals. But you can do your research and like work away. That's another thing. You don't even need to save money up to do a lot of this stuff. You could just go, get for the ticket, go work in a hostel. I saw people doing web design for a hostel, able to stay for a long time. you know, there's still, you can do woofing. There's tons of ways to go out and travel for very cheap or like no preparation at all.
And the thing is that you start like that, and then you meet people doing it, and then from that, from those people you meet, there's conversation that is gonna come up to gonna bring you to like opportunities and stuff like that.
Totally. I mean, so many people, and then you're able to stay with them. Couchsurfing. You can also like look after people's houses. That's getting big, where like people have dogs or whatever, and you go and stay in their house to look after their dog, and it's kind of like, you know, you have a profile and you get reviewed and stuff, and
yeah, that's good.
Doing that. Yeah, I've met a bunch of people doing that.
Oh, really? It's like the Airbnb of dogs. Yeah, I saw that in South America. That's good.
Yeah, man. There's tons of ways for sure, and I'm fortunate enough that I, you know, get paid in American or Canadian dollars, so that helps. Yeah. But there are ways you can do things there or start things. I met these guys that went to Medellin and they started a language school, and they're volunteering as well.
Really?
Which is really cool. Yeah, they're volunteering every week, and also charging people to teach them Spanish, and then they're teaching English for free in the community. So
amazing.
That's something that I think is important. One more thing, I think if you're going to do the travel thing abroad, I think it's important to contribute to the community, the local community, not just your own business.
That's true.
That's true. Controversial.
And it's so good for you too. Like when you're giving back, that's like when you stop thinking about yourself, you know. And when you stop thinking about yourself, that's where like you get like in the present moment, and then
it's also fun. It's also fun. That's what I think about most in Medellin, was going into that poor area, the Comuna 13, and like helping them, and going up to Santo Domingo, I think it was.
You did the techo?
Pardon?
Techo?
No. What's that?
It's a big organization in South America. They're in Medellin as well. They go build houses in the favelas. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do your research. Some in the past, some like building houses things have been like the people could just build the house. Why are these, you know, white people coming in and building the house for them? You know, maybe they just need to give them money. So you have to make sure that the thing you're doing is like pretty well, you know, research and actually doing a positive thing for the community. I think teaching kids English is a good thing, because that allows them to be tour guides, or allows them to, you know, go into business and hopefully, you know, get out of the poverty situation.
All right, man. We need to wrap up. Who inspired you in this lifestyle? Quickly.
My big inspiration, Anthony Bourdain, the guy on CNN. He's got that show. He's 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 traveling around. He's he's a journalist. He's a chef. He's meeting people, and for me, he's one of my heroes. And I really hope he stays cool and doesn't do anything you can disagree with.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy.
I saw him with tattoos, and I was like, I need to get a tattoo as well.
Oh, really? Really?
That was one of the motivations for sure.
Amazing.
He's an old guy with tattoo. I always thought old people looked weird with tattoos, but not him.
Okay. What's the best advice you ever got?
Best advice. I was producing a documentary for Vice, and the guy said, "You're older than you think you are, so like kind of should be more confident. You're older than you think you are, and don't stop until people tell you to stop." So, you know, a lot of the time we're shy. Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to do that. Just go for it. That's how you're going to get the cool stuff. That's how you're going to ask the questions. You're going to learn the cool things, unless someone tells you to stop, you know? So I always try and think about that when I'm just in life, and with my journalism too. Keep pressing until, and be confident, essentially.
Amazing. What have you been learning recently?
I love podcasts. We talked about it a lot, and it's a major idea project for me to be able to produce more, to have, you know, the nice audio and the nice sound, and I'm really passionate about that. So I'm trying to, you know, grow, and I'm listening to podcasts, of course, and trying to do these interviews on my own and stuff, and also boosting my photography. I just went to South Dakota and covered this motorcycle rally, and chatted with this guy, took some cool photos of him. You know, just, you know, and also learning.
You're going to Burning Man, right? Next week or so, you told me. No?
Going to Burning Man, yeah, that's going to be everything. I might be a totally different person. After Burning Man, so things are, you know, things will all be tentative until I have no plans after Burning Man. So we'll see if I end up wanting to join a commune and not wear clothes anymore and all that. So it's gonna be insane.
Okay, what's the book you're reading at the moment?
Reading. This is cool, but it's called Off the Map, and it's about places in the world that we think everything's been found out in Google Maps, but it's in places in the world that have really cool stories, and it's just like, did you know in this place they, these Bedouins, they every few months they rebuild their community of tents, and then it gets bulldozed down by the country that they're in, and in Pennsylvania there's a fire burning underground all the time. So I didn't know those things, and it helps to bring story ideas and helps me feel more passionate about what I want to be doing more is international journalism about kind of unknown things like that. So stay tuned for more good international journalism.
That's good, man. That's good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Okay, last one.
Okay.
How the world's gonna be better because you were born.
That's a good thing. I mean, I want to get in journalism to make a difference and kind of illuminate people's stories. So hopefully I'm making these people's lives better, and I'm hopefully maybe one day I'll create some bigger change. That would be ideal if I do a cool story that causes people to think about something in a different way. That would be a dream, and I hope I can. I plan on not just hope. I plan on making more of a lasting difference with my journalism.
That's good, man. Thank you so much for sharing story and everything. We're doing a conclusion. I'm starting sentences, and I give you the opportunity to say whatever that comes to mind to finish them.
Interesting.
Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. I don't know.
Life is
awesome.
Happiness is
without sounding cheesy. I don't know, everywhere. Or
be grateful every day, or
be grateful every day, or just give up. Because you gotta be grateful. It's so key.
Yeah. A good traveler is
a good traveler is organized. Sure. Prepared. I like the word prepared. Good travelers prepared.
The only trip you'll regret is
the one you don't take.
Yeah. I'm enjoying. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your time.
Yeah, that was lots of fun, man.
Hope we can motivate more people to live this way, because I think it allows you to go outside of your comfort zone every day, and this is how you grow.
100%. Yeah, go out, just do it, take the leap.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, man. See you soon.
Yeah, cool. See ya.
Ciao.